Under most circumstances, Opera GX would be something that I just laugh at. It's a gaming web browser. Surely that must be some kind of gimmicky joke. I'm not even a gamer, so the thought that this might be something that I want to use never crossed my mind. But when fellow tech YouTuber HexDSL uploaded a video on their channel speaking actually very highly of this browser, I knew that I had to take a look at it at the least. And I have to say, I'm actually surprisingly impressed by this web browser. So much so that I want to make a quick video talking about it, because really, why not? Now, I do just have to say before I start this video that this browser isn't open source, and it doesn't have a Linux version at the moment either, so definitely take that into account before you choose this browser. But with that said, let's talk about Opera GX right now on the Linux Lounge. So first, what exactly is Opera GX? Well, it's a special edition of Opera designed specifically for gamers. What this means is basically that it has a bunch of features built in that might be useful for gamers. It also has most, if not all, of the features that come with the standard Opera browser. What surprised me though is that Opera GX actually has several features that aren't particularly gamery, that are exclusive to Opera GX for some reason. Those features really ought to be introduced to the standard edition of Opera if you ask me. So first, let's talk about the features that are gonna interest gamers. Primarily, those are some panels and pages that present you with new game releases and offers right from your browser homepage or in other places. To me, that stuff is bloat and it's just advertising, so I turn it off because I hate that kind of thing. Which thankfully, that is incredibly easy to do. Another very gamery feature of Opera GX is the ability to limit the amount of system resources and bandwidth that Opera GX can use. This might be useful if you're gaming while you have your browser open. Personally, I can actually see it as being quite useful for when I'm downloading something and I want to browse the web while I'm doing it without slowing the download down too much. This is a handy addition, I will say. So now, let's talk about the features that are exclusive to Opera GX that are going to appeal to people who aren't necessarily gamers. The first of which is the sounds that Opera GX has built in. Personally, I actually like having sounds play when I interact with my operating system. That seems to be something that's a long dead art, but thankfully Opera GX resurrects it by having sounds play when you click things or when you type in the browser, or when you do other things like that. Personally, I think that this adds a little bit of magic to your browsing experience. Additionally, you can also set Opera GX to play ambient music while you browse the web, and I have to say, wow, I love this feature. I find it super relaxing while I'm browsing or doing whatever else. I know that I could get another program to do the same thing, but Opera GX's implementation of it is quite good, and the fact that it's built in is very convenient. Another feature that I like that's not in standard Opera yet is its website night mode feature. It'll make pages dark for you without needing an additional extension. I've been doing this for years and I find that it really saves my eyes. Yes, I know that I could get a browser extension to do this, but it is nice that it's built into Opera GX. Something else that's really cool about Opera GX is all of the themes that it has built in. Now, usually I'm not a fan of the gamer aesthetic. In fact, most of the time I can't stand it, but there's something about Opera GX's sleek and minimal look that really does it for me, particularly the pink theme. Though, I suspect that Opera GX's aesthetic won't be to everyone's taste, but personally, I actually really like it and think that this is one of the best looking web browsers out there. Now, for some features that are shared across Opera and Opera GX. First, a built-in ad blocker. Now this should just be standard with browsers these days. The fact that some browsers come without one is ridiculous. The modern web is not usable without an ad blocker. Again, of course, you could just use a browser add-on to replicate this feature, but I've always found that browsers with built-in ad blockers seem to perform better for some reason or another. Now, Opera GX has more features than I can possibly talk about in one video, and I'm going to miss out a lot of features because I either don't have any feelings for them or I just don't like them. To name a few of these features, there's a built-in VPN, support for syncing across devices, a feature that Opera call Flow, where you can send data from one device to another over the internet, and panels with Twitch and various different messaging services that are easily accessible on the sidebar. Maybe you care about these features. Personally, I don't. I've mentioned all the ones that I care about most in this video. Now, if you decide that you want to switch to Opera GX, thankfully it's a pretty drop-in replacement for whatever you're already using, since it's based on Chromium like every other browser out there. It's compatible with almost all Chrome extensions, and you can actually directly import your data from Chrome, as well as numerous other browsers. All in all, I have to say that Opera GX is actually a surprisingly nice browser for what it is. Considering the fact that I thought it was going to be absolute junk, I'm actually amazed. In an oversaturated browser market, Opera GX dares to try something a little bit different, even if it is something as superficial as having a few features baked in for gamers. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, Opera are doing something different in a browser market where everyone is trying to do the exact same thing. Now, the end result of this is a browser that's a little bit bloated, but that does also have some quite nice features, including some features that will save you having to install additional extensions. And if you're a gamer, there's a pretty good chance that this might be the browser to go with. And to be honest, even if you're not a gamer, there is still a lot here to love. So I guess all of this brings us to quite an important question. Do I recommend switching to Opera GX? Well, the answer to that is going to have to be a definite no. The simple reason being is that Opera GX is not open source. There are a lot of great open source browsers out there, so I'd suggest that you use one of those. Now, as far as I'm aware, Opera is developed in Norway, so therefore they do have to operate under some fairly strict privacy laws. So maybe you take that as enough evidence that Opera isn't doing anything shady, but for me, it's not really enough for me to endorse this browser. Were Opera GX open source, then I would recommend it in a heartbeat. But obviously, it's not open source, so whether or not you trust this browser is going to have to be something that you think long and hard about. But with that said, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed my look at Opera GX. I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.